Hi, I'm Donna Gates, and I want to talk to you now about the Kefir starter and the culture starter that we sell. I'll start with the Kefir starter because it was the first product that we had. Many years ago, I discovered that it was really important to have a healthy inner ecosystem in our intestines. And I wanted to teach Americans how to make fermented foods. That was difficult to do because at that point, people didn't even know what yogurt was and nobody was eating it. So this is more than 20 years ago. But that made me realize that it would be very valuable to actually make the kefir from a kefir starter. And the starter is very convenient too, because when you're using the grains, you have to rinse them off each time and transfer them from one fresh batch of milk to the next. The kefir starter is really easy to do. And we have information on our website on how to do that, so I won't go into the details of that. But basically, it's practically like making Kool-Aid. You take a jar and you warm the milk ever so slightly and pour it in there and pour in one package of the kefir starter. And you just put that right in there and right into the warmed milk and whisk it together and then wait 24 hours. You got to have a lid on it. Wait 24 hours. If it's chilly in your kitchen or if the temperature drops, just go ahead and wrap it up in a towel, or sometimes I'll even put a little heating pad around it to keep the temperature steady. But 24 hours later, it will be ready. You shake it up really well, and you put it in your refrigerator, and it's ready to drink. Now, kefir is a wonderful food to have in the morning. If I see so many children going out the door with Pop-Tarts and awful things to go to school. In Russia, they actually give children milk kefir when they arrive at school in the morning because they know it builds their immune system and makes them stronger and healthier. I know a lot of people today are, against milk, and there's a whole lot of people that do well on milk products, particularly if they're fermented. That's the best way to have dairy, is to ferment it. And I found out myself that the reason I couldn't have it for most of my life is because of the fat in the milk. So I started finding milk, or actually taking the raw milk and removing the fat and making mine more low fat. Some people really do have a lactose intolerance, and when you ferment the milk, the bacteria in here are eating up the milk sugar, so you're getting rid of that lactose, so that many people can definitely take a fermented milk product. It's rich in bacteria, of course, to help build a healthy inner ecosystem. And it's for many people, they say they have much better elimination when they have a glass. I always recommend that you pour a little bit, 3 or 4 ounces is enough per day, and either dilute it with water or one of our probiotic liquids is what I usually do, because the probiotic liquids, the bacteria in here, are going to help digest the milk even more. And it's wonderful for a woman who's pregnant and nursing. It's just, this is that is a time in a woman's life where she really needs more milk fat in her diet because of the baby's developing brain. So it's rich in protein, it's rich in B vitamins, just a wonderful, wonderful food. And so if you have children and they're already drinking milk, then please consider asking them to come in the kitchen and help you. Actually, it's a wonderful thing to do with children. And just, as I said before, it's like making Kool-Aid practically, except you have to wait 24 hours to drink it. I think kids love food when they've participated in making it. So I highly recommend you have your kids make it. I hope by now you've heard of young coconut kefir. Many years ago, I realized that not everybody could do fermented dairy kefir, and I got the idea to take coconut water and ferment it. And today, millions of people around the world are drinking it. There are several companies that actually sell it in stores. We even have a coconut kefir that we sell online and at cocokefir.com, but also it's showing up in a lot of stores too. And so this is our already made up coconut kefir. You can make it at home very easily with a kefir starter. What you need is some coconut water and a package of our kefir starter. Now, years ago, everybody had to open those coconuts by hand, and that was tedious, but the benefits of drinking this coconut water were so well worth it that many people did it, particularly the parents of our autistic children, because this was an amazing drink for these children who have really severe gut dysbiosis. It made a huge difference in their life. And so we, fortunately today though, we have companies that are making coconut water that's already out of the coconut. This is a company called Exotic Superfoods. They're on the West Coast, they're out of New York, and they've distributed, you can either order directly off their website, or they have been able to distribute themselves around the country. So depending on where you live, you may be able to get it. That's what I do today. I just buy 3 bottles of this, or one of their larger bottles, and I warm it up, defrost it. It stays in the freezer most of the time until I'm ready to use it. Then you warm it up to skin temperature, put it in a glass jar, just like you're going to make the milk kefir, and add your kefir starter. The thing about the coconut kefir, it's a little more difficult to make in the sense that you have to be careful to keep that room temperature stable through the whole fermentation process. It's a little bit more temperamental, I guess is the right way to describe it. So I'm really careful to put a big old heating pad, which is really a plate warmer that I purchased. It's something that the perfect hostess purchases when she wants to keep her dinner plates warm, but it actually makes the perfect corral for my fermented foods, or at least for the coconut kefir. I never bother to use it for cultured vegetables because they're so much hardier and easier to ferment. They're not so temperamental. But what you do is you take 3 bottles of the small bottles or one of the big bottles, warm it up, put in the starter, and wait 36 hours the first time. Now, the beautiful thing about fermented coconut water or fermented milk is that once you've made your initial batch, you can use some of that batch, that first batch, to put it into fresh milk or fresh coconut water to make a second batch. When you do that with a coconut kefir, the second batch ferments in 24 hours. It's very economical. This is a wonder. Let's say you had a daycare center or a school and you wanted to make a large amount of milk kefir or coconut kefir for your children. You can just take a large amount of milk, let's say, and add a whole cup of the previous bacteria, and that will ferment. And now you've fermented that milk for your children, which is going to make them much healthier. Again, I really wish that schools would offer fermented kefir in the morning for children. Exotic Superfoods also has a frozen coconut meat, and this has been defrosted. So what I'm going to do with this now is I'll put it in my Vitamix. I'll blend it up with some of the coconut water and put in a little bit of the starter. Or if I've got coconut kefir already made up, I'll just add some of the coconut kefir as a starter. And I ferment this for just about 8 hours, where this, the coconut water takes anywhere from 24 to 36 hours to ferment. The coconut meat doesn't have as much sugar in it, and it ferments in about 8 hours. And it makes a wonderful pudding. You can now, once it's fermented, you can put it back in the blender and crush up, blend up pineapple or blueberries or strawberries and a touch of stevia and make a really delicious dessert for yourself or for children. So these new, the coconut products are just a wonderful addition to our diet. The problem with coconut water, if you don't ferment it, it's just too sweet. And you're getting a lot of sugar, and it's one of the things that'll age you very quickly and keep your blood sugar elevated, and it's really dangerous. I know it's popular, I know people consider it hydrating, but fermenting it is a much wiser way to go. I wanted to also talk a little bit about our cultured vegetable starter, and the reason I ended up bringing a cultured vegetable starter into the line is because I first started learning and teaching people about making fermented vegetables, and I call them, in the beginning I called them sauerkraut, but people would go in the store and they would buy a jar that was pasteurized. It had cabbage in it, but the cabbage was pasteurized. It usually had vinegar and citric acid, and I wasn't talking about that at all. I wanted a product that was really alive. Once I realized that I could improve the product by adding a starter, I created a starter that's very, very rich in Lactobacillus plantarum. And plantarum is a really special bacteria. First of all, it's a folate producer, and many people today need more folate in their diet. As a matter of fact, genetically, many people have an MTHFR SNP or variation, and they're not able to convert or assimilate folate in their diet. So now we have a bacteria that's making folate for you. It's also an oxalate eater. And that means, probably many people don't know what oxalates are, but in the plant kingdom, many of the foods that we're eating today are very, very rich in oxalates. Nuts and seeds, spinach, chocolate, soy products, unfermented soy are very high in oxalates. Spinach is high in oxalates. So we're eating a lot of those, and we don't realize that oxalates actually cause us to form calcium deposits or stones all throughout the body, in the kidney, in the bladder, even in the places where you can't see it, like the lungs and the brain. So having vegetables that are really rich in plantarum is a wonderful thing for millions of people that have that genetic SNP. Plantarum is also antiviral, so if you're eating this and you get a virus, get exposed to a virus, you've got a powerful antiviral fighter down in your gut. And plantarum is also very resistant to most antibiotics out there today. So if you're eating this and you have to take an antibiotic for some reason, you won't destroy the plantarum and you won't have that overgrowth of yeast in your gut. So I can't say enough about this special bacteria. And our starter is very rich in plantarum. So we did a test not too long ago, and we found that unfermented vegetables had a very small amount of plantarum, but when they were fermented, they had like 570 billion times more. It was a huge difference more. So I can't stress enough the value of adding a starter. You just make your cultured vegetables the way you normally make them. You add the starter to the brine. We have lots of recipes and information on our site on how to do that, so I won't go into that. I want to add too that cultured vegetables are wonderful to have with your meals. Just maybe 2 tablespoons for an adult, 2 teaspoons for a child is all you need. Either put them right on the plate or in their own little bowl. They are sour. If someone doesn't like the taste, you can change the taste by adding a little bit of olive oil or pumpkin seed oil, a little touch of balsamic vinegar, and a little bit of sea salt. And they almost taste, what you're basically kind of doing is making sort of like a probiotic salad by doing that. But a lot of people like them in the beginning better with a little flavoring added to them. Now, you're going to want to add them too because the bacteria in your meal are going to travel through your digestive tract, helping digest that food, helping pull out those nutrients that are in that food that you ate. But they themselves are extraordinarily rich in nutrients. When you ferment vegetables, like cabbage, for example, is a great source of vitamin C. But now that we've fermented the cabbage, it's hundreds of times more bioavailable. Now you're getting a lot of vitamin C in just a few tablespoons of the fermented vegetables. So I use the term fermented vegetables and cultured vegetables interchangeably. We don't use the term sauerkraut in Body Ecology because people are going to be buying the wrong product. I will say that over the 20 years, they have become quite popular. If you go on the internet, if you go on even to Amazon, there's a lot of books out now on fermented foods. I'm pretty proud of the fact that I set off to change the way the world eats. And today, because of this kind of wonderful fermentation craze that's happening, we are changing the way the world eats. So please, I want to just tell you know, if you have fermentation fright and you're just afraid that it's just too difficult to do, I promise you it is not difficult. One of the things that makes it more fun, however, is bringing a friend or two into the kitchen with you, bringing in your children, shredding up the vegetables, making a simple brine where you add your starter culture, pour the brine into the vegetables, pack everything into the jar, and then wait for Mother Nature to do the rest. In about a week, they're ready to go. You put them in your refrigerator, and they're ready to eat. They're fantastic for aging as well. One of the things that I found out recently in this constant research that I do is that these vegetables are rich in something called sulforaphane, and sulforaphane is an amazing molecule. It expresses something called the NRF2 gene, NRF2 gene, and the NRF2 gene is considered today to be the master anti-aging gene. So I'm quite positive that eating these foods are helping us age better. There are many, many people on the diet. They're aging well, that feel fantastic, and these are an important part of a program, a health program, and should be included in your diet. Thank you very much.